Hello and welcome to Michael Plays the Classics. I am the aforementioned Michael, and today's Classics is more Warcraft, Orcs and Humans. I completed the human campaign last week, tried to think about what I wanted to do next, and I've just been having a lot of fun playing Warcraft, so I want to play more of it. So we're going to start a new campaign today, and we're going to play through the Orc Campaign. Well, my mouse will cooperate. There we go. So this first, there's a lot of overlap. Like basically the human campaign and the orc campaign play out very, very similarly, but it's still fun. So this first mission, we basically just have to build 6 farms. And I think maybe we have a barracks. Yeah. So we have to have 6 farms and a barracks to get on. That shouldn't be much of a trouble. I say that probably right before I'll regret it. But the plan is I'll play this, each day I'll play through a mission. Hopefully I'll get through these pretty easily. Hopefully anyways. Hey, Sumkey. Yes, there we go. I decided to keep playing. I've just really been enjoying this game. So I decided to just keep going with it. Now, I am going to be on vacation next week. So my goal was to play every day this week, so Monday through Friday. But then I will not be around at all the following week. I will be out of town. And so then it will be a week, and then I'll come back and then hopefully get right back into it. As I was just saying, there's a lot of overlap. The missions are very similar. I think they're even they're basically the same thing. But there is a little bit of difference, I think, in like the troops. I believe that in terms of like health and damage output, there is some differences in the different troops compared to each other. I don't know if it's enough to really change a lot of things. Like I still will pretty much have the same strategy. I'm going to build the ranged people, which in this case I think are spear throwers, spearmen. So I will basically, focus on getting enough spearmen to set up defensive lines, and that way I can take out anything before it really gets too close to me. And then once I get those last couple levels where you can get your warlocks and you can start summoning elementals, that will pretty much be my strategy, because once you get to those, it's kind of hard to beat that if you can get there. Since you're here, Sumkey, obviously, if there's anything you want to chat about, I really enjoy talking with people. Probably the only big thing that I have been into recently is I'm continuing to do my Smallville podcast. So I'm watching tons of Smallville. But I have decided to once again try to watch the Arrow show. Now, again, I'm a huge Smallville fan. Watched the series a couple times through. Right at the start of the pandemic, God, was it 2-3 years ago now? I decided to watch all of Smallville again. I went through several shows that I just kind of wanted to rewatch. Like I hadn't got all the way through them for whatever reason. Like The Mentalist I enjoyed, but I don't think I'd ever finished it, or I missed enough episodes that I was confused about a few things. I rewatched all of Psych. I rewatched all of Smallville, and I was like, man, you know what? I really dig this Smallville thing. I think I want to podcast about it, because that's what you do when you're a podcaster. So I started a Smallville fancast, and it's been going really well. We're right in the middle of season 5 right now. Thoroughly enjoying it. Really, really glad I made that decision. But I'm already halfway through season 5. I'm thinking, a couple more years, I'm going to be done. What am I going to do next? Going on to some more DC shows kind of makes some sense. I like the idea of doing a show that's already ended. That way you can kind of do the full retrospective like I'm doing with Smallville. You have all the episodes out. You don't necessarily have to try to guess or think about what's coming next. But I have tried to watch Arrow a couple times, and I guess I keep stumbling because I'll be honest, I don't think it's that great. There are elements of it I do think are great. But as a whole, I think the show is not great, as I said. But I'm going to try really hard to kind of push through this time, get through those seasons. Like the first season, I think is pretty good. Second season is really where it gets wonky for me. I'm now into the third season, and yeah, it's getting to some of those wonky bits. And I try to, again, Smallville, it has its issues. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it does some things really, really well. And I have been finding some interest in comparing and contrasting what I think Smallville did well versus what Arrow is doing well, because I think there are different things. And not all this is fully formed, thought out, so please forgive me if some of this is dumb. Probably will be. But one of the things that happens in Arrow very quickly is several people find out who he is. Where in Smallville, it was a very small circle. It was a huge deal on who's going to know and when they're going to know. And in Smallville, they kind of speed that up, and there's several people that know and that are working with him. There are so many other masked heroes that come into the show. I think, again, I'm starting season 3, and we already have Arrow himself. We have Red Arrow, Roy, who's not quite that yet. We've had the Huntress, who started off as kind of a good bad guy, but now is definitely a bad guy. Sarah comes back in season 3, which introduces the League of Assassins. So now we have like Nyssa is there, Slade Wilson. Like there's just so many masked characters, both heroes and villains in the show compared to Smallville. Again, it's a different time period, it's a different show. It should be different, but it is just kind of interesting, I think, to kind of look at it through that lens of how quickly things have kind of escalated. I did get to the episode of Arrow where they introduced Barry Allen in the spinoff of Flash. And much like the first time I was trying to watch Arrow, I immediately was like, well, that looks like a better show. But I'm going to try not to get distracted. I'm going to try to stick with it and continue to watch Arrow. One way I have done this is, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm also like a big puzzle person. I'm not huge into puzzles, but I enjoy puzzles. Puzzles is one of my activities I like to do to kind of unwind and relax. I work them with my wife sometimes. We have them on the kitchen table, and we'll just go through and, spend a few minutes together, throwing some pieces on the board type of a thing. So what I've been doing is using my iPad to play Arrow while I'm working a puzzle. So I am watching it, I am paying attention, but it doesn't have like my full undivided attention. I'm able to multitask a little bit, and that has definitely helped get through some of those episodes that were not great. So that's kind of where we're at now. I think I just started season 3, which I believe, I think like halfway through season 3 is as far as I've gotten either time before I've tried. So I'm getting really close to where I have stopped both times before. I'm interested to see, because I know some big strokes what happens. I watched Flash for a long time. I watched Supergirl for a while. I'm aware of the crossover episodes, so I've seen Oliver in those crossovers. I know some of the big stuff that happens with regards to him and the other characters because of how they interact in the crisis crossover type stuff. But there's also a lot I don't know. So I think it will be interesting to see what I think of those future episodes when I actually just kind of push through and force myself to watch them. All right, so let's build a barracks. Let's do that first in case I need some help here. Because I only need 6 farms, but I don't have a lot of gold, so I'm definitely going to have to find more gold, which means I'm going to have to explore, which means I'm probably going to run into some enemies, and it would probably be a good idea if I could either have reinforcements already or be able to create some reinforcements. I probably will just go ahead and make 2 more. I don't know that I actually need like a lumber mill here, so I probably will just spit out 2 more grunts. And then I will start exploring and see what we can get to. All right. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of exploring with this worker guy here. I think that works too, because or honestly, I have more than I need. Yeah, I really hope that I enjoy it. My biggest issue right now is that they didn't want to do Batman. It seems very clear to me, because this version of Green Arrow is basically Batman. Like he's Batman. Almost everything he does is Batman-like. It's very little in relation to what I know of Green Arrow. At least, I know comics change and they evolve and there's character arcs and writers do different things. But the Green Arrow that I am most familiar with outside of the one that was in Smallville is, Ollie with the blonde goatee who doesn't have a secret identity. Everyone knows who he is. And he's like this sort of like punny, funny, extravagant guy, quipping. He's kind of got like Spider-Man vibes, but he's also an old man. So it's a completely different vibe, where this one is all like grim and gritty. And even his bad guys seem to be very much based off of Batman type villains. His arcs seem to me to be they feel more like Batman story arcs than they do Green Arrow arcs. So it just feels like if you wanted to do Batman, why didn't you just do Batman? Probably because you couldn't do Batman. I'm sure they wouldn't let you, the studios, I mean. But then the version of Arrow that they did is so clearly a Batman version. Definitely different trauma, but the way they talk about it, like, his dad died right in front of him. Was it both his parents? No, but even then, like, the tragedy of how that happened was really bad. But just like he has the bat layer, I don't know. And I like Batman. I would love to have seen a Batman. But if we're going to do that, then I want a Green Arrow who isn't Batman. Either give me Batman or give me Green Arrow, but don't give me Green Arrow as Batman. But I will give a lot of credit from what I know, which is, nothing inside, but just word around the campfire, is that the dude who plays Arrow, Stephen Amell, is, basically responsible for the Arrowverse. It was him who pushed for these other shows to get made. And, like The Flash, and then like Supergirl, and then like Legends of Tomorrow, like those just wouldn't have happened without him pushing for them. And I really appreciate that. Because I do really like the first couple seasons of The Flash. I've never got through Flash either, because all the seasons, they started to feel samey. Like, it's like, hey, a speedster shows up, we have to fight them. Hey, look, a new speedster showed up, we have to fight them. Each time Barry has to get faster. And it just got so repetitive to me that I kind of stopped enjoying them. But I think that's going to be next after Arrow, because there's only 8 seasons of Arrow. I'm already into season 3, and I think I'm going to be able to get through, even if it's not the most enjoyable time. My plan is to keep going. So I like to think that I'll be able to push through. And then after that, I think I'm going to watch Flash, because my understanding is that this will be the last season of The Flash, the one they're on now, or is about to come out. So by the time I get to it, hopefully the last season is already out. I don't really have a lot of interest in Legends of Tomorrow. I've heard good things about it. I watched a few episodes, but it just didn't hit me. Same thing with Supergirl. I was very interested when it first came out. Probably will circle back around to Superman and Lois. I watched the first season of that, and I really liked it. I thought that was a really good version of Superman. I don't think I want a podcast about it, just because it's just too new, and I would rather wait till the entire series is over. And I'm also curious with this whole like DC thing with Peter Safran and James Gunn taking over, and how they're going to change things, and movies are getting canceled, and actors are getting replaced. How is that going to work with the TV shows? Are they even going to do more Superman and Lois? Like, is the what's his name? Where did my things go? Oh man, what is his name? Something with a B. It's not Bertinelli. It's the guy who like is behind all these shows. I cannot think what that guy's name is. He's like the producer. Benetti? Something like that. I'm embarrassed that I can't think of it. My apologies for anyone listening who's screaming because I can't think of this guy's name. But anyway, like, is he still going to be able to make his shows? Like, what's going to happen with them? And because I loved Peacemaker. Peacemaker was one of the best things that I watched. I think I watched it all the way through at least twice. And I think I actually, I spot checked a few other episodes. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. And I didn't like Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad movie. Like, he was not a super interesting character. And I'm like, I don't get it. But then when I watched the show, I was like, oh no, I get it. Okay. That's the genius of James Gunn, is he took a character that I didn't care about and made me care about him, which I should have, I kind of had faith in James Gunn because of the Guardians movies, but I was a little bit worried. But absolutely, he crushed it, making Peacemaker just a character you want to root for, even though he's terrible, but he wants to be good. And, you can kind of get into that a little bit. So no, this isn't the old Lois and Clark with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. This is the new one that's only been out for a couple seasons, where it's called Superman and Lois, and they go back to the farm. Lois either quits her job or gets fired from the Daily Planet. Superman, he's not like out, but I think there's a lot more people that know his secret at this point. But it was very good. He's got two young sons. They're like in high school age. In season 1, episode 1, neither of his kids have powers, but there's one kid who seems like maybe he might be developing powers. And then things go from there. I thought the first season was really cool. So that's another one I want to kind of circle back around and revisit. But I watch Smallville so much because I watch each episode at least twice, and sometimes as many as 4 times for each episode that I record about the show. And then I take notes, and I do Google research. And I try to, like, every time there's a number on screen, I'm like, does that reference a comic book? So I spend way more time doing this than I really need to. Surprise, welcome to Michael, right? But I'm still enjoying it. I'm having fun, so I don't regret my choices yet. We shall see. All right. So I've got 4. I only need to make 2 more farms, and then that's basically it. So I really only need gold at this point. So I can send everybody over here. Really didn't even need to make this last worker, but it's okay. I'll set him to working on the farms. It is still driving me batty that I cannot think of that dude's name. It's not Bernetti, but it's something like that. Bernetti, no. Driving me batty. I don't know where my phone went. I was going to Google it. All right, here we go. Berlanti. That's his name. So it's like Swanson. I was so close. I knew it was that. So it's Berlanti. The Berlanti verse is what I often hear it referred to as. But yeah, to circle back around to that, I wonder, again, are those shows going to continue? Are they going to be able to continue? Because it sounds like Gunn wants to unify things and like have the movies and the shows and even the games and the animated movies connect in a way that, even Marvel has not done or wanted to do. So from my understanding is it's going to be a little bit more unified than that. So I kind of have a hard time seeing that they would want those shows to continue. But I don't know. The ones that are successful, like the Berlantiverse, maybe they will. I don't know. Yay! There we go. Okay. So we are victorious. We will continue like the stinging of a wasp. Blah, blah, blah. So I was going to restart next time. So menu, save game. So we will do orc to start. There we go. All right. Well, that will do it for today. Sumke, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Anyone who's watching in the future, thank you as well. Again, the plan Monday through Friday-ish around 1 o'clock Eastern is when I play these older games. This week, I hope to do it all week. I will be out of town the following week. Finish up the one after that. I will probably go back to some old original Nintendo games after Warcraft. I think that'll be the plan, at least for a little while. I had a game I wanted to stream, but much like this one, the way it runs, it's difficult for me to manage the stream, and I can't seem to get it to work. When I do my tests, the game, it'll show, but it's like a frozen still. It doesn't actually follow the game, and so I don't know if I'll be able to stream that one or not. So if not, I probably will go back to Nintendo for a little while. All right, some keep it in. Thanks, and hopefully I'll see everybody next time. So bye-bye.